Hello and welcome to the short Vort on Parshas Balak. This week I'd like to share some lessons that we learned from a donkey, as well as from a rooster, as well as the rationale of why Bilam chose to seduce the Bnei Yisrael via the daughters of Moav to cause them to stumble into sin. So starting with the donkey, there are three things that Avos mentioned: that the P, the mouth of, was created Erev Shabbos Bein Hashmashos, one of the last things out of these of 10 things overall that were created then, and that's the Pi Ha'ason, the Pi of the donkey of our parsha of Balak, the Pi Ha'aretz that's in Korach, and in between that's the land that swallowed Korach and his congregation, and then in between we had the Pi Be'er that we learned about last week, that fed the Bnei Yisrael in Parshas Chukas, as well as for the previous 39 years in the Zechus of Miriam. Now, one of the things I try to do from time to time is write down a little list of things that I'm appreciative of from Hashem, things we often take for granted, hearing and seeing and feeling. But upon reading the Parsha this week, I realized that there's one thing that I don't think I ever put on that list, and that is the power to talk, to appreciate the fact that I can speak to you right now. And the reason I thought about it was because I was reading that when the donkey talked to Bilam, it's because Hashem is the one who creates the power for even humans to speak. So the miracle that we see of the donkey talking is a miracle that we should be thinking about every day. We just take for granted for nature that we can talk. Not everyone can talk, unfortunately. So we have to take appreciation of even this basic thing that I, and I'm sure other people, forget about. Another part of an attitude of gratitude is Asher Nasan L'Sachvivina Lavchin Ben Yomu Ben Laila. So I heard last night from a speaker that every morning when we say this bracha, why do we bring a rooster into our blessings? Why is it the first blessing? Because the rooster, every day, it appreciates the new day, the new dawn, and it doesn't know what's going to be happening in that day. It could be the day that it gets slaughtered. It could be the day it dies, or something else bad happening. Yet every day it has this attitude of gratitude, and it cock-a-doodle-doos and says thank you to Hashem. Now Rabbi Leff quotes the Chofetz Chaim regarding another part of Avos that connects to our parsha: have a Mesooning Badin, be delivered in judgment. And it's not just for the Dayanim, the judges themselves, but it's for every person, to give other people a chance for every situation, to make sure they hear everything out and not to rush to make a judgment. But what connects it to this parsha is that Parsha's Bilam, the Chofetz Chaim points out, is that there is no breaks in the whole parsha. Usually there's a bunch of little paragraphs. Why are there no breaks in the parsha? So normally we have breaks because after each break, Moshe Rabbeinu, when he was told those sections by Hashem, he would contemplate, review it, and think about it. He'd be deliberate about it. He'd pontificate. But Bilam, who was a Rasha, he never took the time to think. He just did one thing right after another without pause, without contemplation. So that's one of the differences between him and a fellow Navi, the greatest Navi, Moshe Rabbeinu. Finally, I'd like to share something from Sefer Rav Gedalia by Rav Gedalia Schor, and it's why did Bilam use the Bnos Moav to cause the Jews to stumble? So he explains that one of the ways that we have to also appreciate is Hashem protected us during the time of Bilam by not letting us get destroyed. Bilam had the power to know exactly each day when Hashem got angry for this brief moment, and all he had to say was Kaleim, destroy them, and the Bnei Yisrael Chas v'Shalom could have been removed from this world. But Hashem, therefore, did not get angry during this period when Bilam was trying to curse them. Now, to do a positive mitzvah, that is driven by ahava. That's driven by love. Love drives you to do the positive things. To stay away from averos, mitzvahs losa say, that's driven by yira, the fear of God, the reverence of God, and therefore you won't go against His will. During this time, Hashem did not get angry. By not getting angry, He took away this counterpoint. Every day He'd get angry for that brief moment in order to instill yira in the world, and the Jews would have the power not to sin and stay away from lo saseh. But during this time when Hashem did not get angry, the Jews did not have that yira in the world to keep them away from sin and to prevent them from succumbing to temptation. That's why Bilam said, now is the time to try to seduce the Jews, because they don't have that yira, because Hashem is not getting angry to have that influence. And this fits very well going into the next parsha, Parshas Pinchas, where Pinchas saves the day. He's a Kanai, and it says, Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen Heshives Chamasi Mi'al Bnei Yisrael B'Kanoes Kinasi B'Socham V'Lokilisias Bnei Yisrael B'Kinasi. Because Hashem was not getting angry at this point, it was instead Pinchas who got angry, preventing Hashem from needing to get angry. That's right. B'Kanoes Kinasi. He got angry for me. He's Heshives Chamasi. He returned my anger that he kept me. I didn't have to get angry. He did it in my stead. And therefore, there was never a moment in that day either for Bilam to curse and destroy the Jews. And therefore, Loki Lysias Bnei Yisrael, because he was angry instead of me, and I didn't have to be angry, says Hashem, the Bnei Yisrael were not destroyed. So thank you for listening. We should have an attitude of gratitude for so many things, from seeing, from hearing, from talking, and from the fact that Hashem is watching our back and watching our front. So have a good Shabbos and a wonderful week.